Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 27th Annual Paul Mirage School of Business 2018 Healthcare Forecast. Great crowd. My name is Rick Janata. I am the interim CEO of UCI Health, and it's my pleasure to kick things off here. Thank you for the program group to ask me to do that. It's an honor. And I'm sure, as all of you know, this has become a source of so much information on federal, national, local policy that it has really set the tone for many of the decisions that healthcare leaders and healthcare institutions make, not only here locally and in California, but across the country. I've been here at UCI for just under a year, and what I've seen is that the level of innovation and I would say real love of the missions of education and the interface between that and real practice in the policy world has been impressive. And where that has really expressed itself most recently, and I have to mention this, is a generous gift from Henry and Susan Samueli, established the College of Health Sciences, which is not too far from here. So that's something exciting that you'll all see start to rise out of the ground in the very near future. That is part of what we're looking forward to, I think, growing into as we become leaders, not only here, as I said, in education, but also as a health system. And I did want to touch quickly upon that. We're Orange County, UCI Health's Orange County's only academic medical center, and part of the programs that make up the center come out of the great ideas that are obviously compelled through education, research, and innovation through the School of Medicine, School of Nursing, and soon to be established School of Population Health and Pharmaceutical Sciences. So without any further delay, I did want to introduce the Dean of the School of Business, Eric Spangenberg. And Dean Spangenberg has been here since June of 2014. He's led many initiatives with public-private partnerships, strengthening ties with business community, et cetera. His bio is in the materials that you have, and I think that, along with, if you research him, his writings as both authoring chapters and as well as journal articles speak for themselves. So with that, I want to introduce the Dean and thank him again for my invitation.
Okay, thanks, Rick. So I guess I've seen a lot of you here last year and around the community since then and the year before, and so it's they've stopped introducing me as the new dean since I'm finally into my fourth year, so I appreciate that. Good morning. I guess some of you have been coming to this for 27 years, right? This is the 27th conference of this kind. I think I'm seeing some people maybe who weren't born the first time that this conference was held. And others of you have been to every one of them, so thank you all for being here. It's great. It's over a generation. And over the years, we really have been honored to deliver a program that meets the needs of the healthcare community. And really to have you return year after year and hear the updates suggests that we are doing something right. And so these really are the most critical issues in healthcare that we update people on, and I know you look forward to hearing about that today. About 90% of our registrants are return registrants year on year. So if you think about that, that's encouraging, and encourages us to keep doing this and to keep putting our best foot forward every time that we put this on. The conference sort of is a bit of an annual reunion then, and so it's my pleasure to welcome you all back, and so thank you for being here. And I know there are folks in the overflow room, and it's always weird to speak to them because I don't get to see them, but welcome to those of you who are in the overflow room as well. One of my main jobs, so I have a couple of main jobs, and I'm supposed to stick to my script, but there are some adjustments already to my script that I have to make here. One of my main jobs is to thank the supporters for the support of the conference and for the support of our center. And there we go. Now the script doesn't have to be adjusted as much. Okay, because I was like, it's not coming up on the screen, and I'm supposed to thank these folks. So it's an awful long list, but I want you to take note of those supporters. And if it weren't for their sponsorship over the years, we just wouldn't be able to have a conference of this nature. And so let's just, I would say if there are folks here in the audience that are working for one of these sponsors, or you have something to do with one of these sponsors, could you stand, please? And let's thank them. Okay. Thank you very much. We really are grateful. The Paul Merage School of Business would not be the world-class school that it is without the generous support and investment by external entities. And when I say external, I mean external to the educational institution. We are very grateful. Another of my tasks is to provide a few updates regarding the Paul Merage School of Business. And I just wanted, and I am going to keep it short, but I do have a couple of things that I think are pretty exciting, and you may have heard of some of these. We introduced a new educational theme, Leadership for a Digitally Driven World, just this year. And over the years, we've been able to lead in these sorts of ways. And today, you'll no doubt hear about some of the ways that big data and technology are driving changes in the healthcare industry. And we're inculcating such a mindset across our curriculum of all our programs, not just in our core, but in our electives and our extracurricular activities, our firm interactions, and so forth. And so I just encourage you to stay tuned to hear how we're actually leading and beating the competition in this regard and on this dimension. This also marks the 50th anniversary of our first graduates from the Paul Merage School of Business, and it was the Graduate School of Management when we started back in the 60s. And so we are graduating also the first cohorts of our new Masters of Business Analytics and our new Masters of Finance. So those are graduates that many of you may be interested in bringing into some of your organizations. So I encourage you to get in touch with us in that regard. Both of these programs, along with our hybrid online and our in-class MBA changes, are extremely successful, and we're seeing upticks in a very tight competitive market. We're seeing increases at the Paul Merage School of Business in all of our programs this year, the last 2 years, in fact. And we can't forget our undergraduate program, which, as it turns out, in only its third year of being eligible to be ranked, is in the top 20 schools in undergraduate in business in public schools in the nation. And we are the most diverse program in the nation in the top 50 schools. And so that helps us to achieve many of our objectives, and it helps your organizations to achieve their objectives with regard to increasing the richness of the mix of our pools of talent. Before I conclude, I was hoping to be able to introduce somebody here, but this is another change to my script. Is he here? Yeah. He is here. Okay, he did not sit down front. True to form, not wanting the spotlight because he officially retired this year. And Paul Feldstein is somebody who I wanted to recognize today. He really was the prime mover and shaker for bringing our school's resources to bear on healthcare over the years. His expertise in healthcare management, education, and research has been for a contribution to the discipline and to greater causes for over a quarter of a century. Paul is a world-renowned health economist. He came in 1988 to then the Graduate School of Management, now the Merage School, and he began a healthcare track under the umbrella of the MBA. He was instrumental in beginning our MD MBA and our healthcare executive MBA. And he initiated this conference in 1992. And so, like I say, true to form, he didn't want the spotlight, and I thought, oh, where's Paul? He didn't make it, got caught in traffic or something, because what Paul is doing now is he is fully retired and enjoying time with his wife, Anna, and the rest of his family here in Southern California. So let's just say thank you to Paul one last time. Okay. So, all right, now, no less impressive, though, is our current director of the Center for Healthcare, and this is our academic director, Professor Mireille Jacobson, and she is responsible for the planning and execution of the conference now for the last few years. It's been her primary responsibility as director, and after completing her PhD at Harvard, Dr. Jacobson joined UCI's Department of Economics. Then she left and went to RAND for a while and achieved some other exposure and some other experience. And then we were able to attract her back, and I think Paul had something to do with that as well, to attract Mireille back here to the Paul Merage School of Business. and where she, as I mentioned, serves as academic director for the Center for Healthcare Management. Okay, so Mireille is a research associate in the healthcare program at the National Bureau of Economic Research. And I could go on, but her bio also is in your book. So I would encourage you to take a look at that, because we're very excited to have Mireille on the faculty, and how she looks at how healthcare policies affect well-being. She's done some really interesting research over the last year on some topics that are very timely, and she has a fairly distinguished career that I think you'll be interested in reading about in the booklet. So please welcome me, or join me in welcoming. You've already welcomed me. Please join me in welcoming Mireille Jacobson.
Welcome. Thank you all for joining us for the 27th Annual Forecast Conference. Many of you have been coming to this conference for years, and others are joining for the first time. For those of you who are either new or do not know about it, the Mirage School, under the leadership of Paul Feldstein, my predecessor at the Center for Healthcare Management and Policy, developed a strong focus in healthcare. Eric told you a little bit about that already. This conference is one of the core features of that focus. And another is our educational programs. Again, Eric mentioned those, but I'll tell you a little bit more detail about those. So we have an MD MBA program, and many of the students from that program are actually here working the microphones, and you'll see them milling about, and they are amazing students and should give you some hope for the doctors of our future. Another of our programs is the Healthcare Executive MBA, which, among other things, is the source of some of the remarkable speakers and moderators here today. Some of the students and alums are in the audience. And it's really a program that draws on people like you. So if this sounds like a program that might be of interest to you, I should tell you that there is a table outside and you can learn more about the program. A highlight of that program is actually a one-week residential in DC, where the students go and we meet with the key players in healthcare policy, both inside and outside government. When we went in fall 2016, we heard about efforts to repeal the Affordable Care Act and budget reconciliation, and how this wasn't going to happen as people thought. When we went this past year, the discussion was really about states and how states were going to be the source of reform this year, given that 38 governors are up for re-election. Through your support, both of the conference and our programs, I think that we really kind of have the leading edge view of what's happening in healthcare policy, both at this conference and, as I said, in our educational programs. And we really thank you for your support, again, both at the conference and at the school more generally. We will continue to try to be leaders in this area, as we have under the leadership of Paul Feldstein. So before we start, I do have a few housekeeping tips. The first is that your conference badge is your admission ticket, so please wear that at all times. The second is that we record this, and so if you have a question after any of the sessions, please wait to be acknowledged by the moderators and wait for a microphone to come around. The third is the conference is approved for 11 credits for CMEs, nurse CEUs, and Department of Insurance CEUs. So if that's of interest to you, please make sure you get the proper forms and fill them out, or you will not get credit. Please, please, please provide your evaluations to us. We strive every year to make this better, and we need your feedback to do that. Finally, in an effort to be green like the rest of this campus, we do not print out materials anymore for the presentations, but we do have an app where you can access them. So if you have not received information about that app and want to get that, please go to the front desk and ask them about that. And so with that, I want to once again thank all of you for showing up today, and thank our sponsors for making this possible, and then get the program started. So we're going to start with our first session, which is the forecast session. So I want to invite the first panel of speakers, James Glassman, John Vlekovich, and Bill Hoagland. Okay, so our first session is our forecast session. The goal with this panel is to provide you with both background and insight on the U.S. economy, the federal budget, the role of healthcare programs in that budget, and finally, private sector healthcare expenditure projections. It really is meant to set the stage for the rest of the sessions. And we have a distinguished group of panelists today. Although I will introduce them all individually before their actual presentations, I would like to note an important common theme. All were educated in I states, Illinois, Iowa, and Indiana in the Midwest. And so while some coastal types may think of the middle of the US as flyover country, it has, among other things, been an important source of education for some of our finest minds, both here today and in the country more generally. And as we will hear tomorrow, it is also a source of great innovation at the state level in terms of healthcare policy. So with that, I want to welcome James Glassman. James is the managing director with JP Morgan Chase and head economist for Chase Commercial Banking. He has been sharing his insights with us since almost the beginning of the conference, for which we're very grateful. And my favorite fact about him is that he is a regular data point in the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia's survey of professional forecasters, a very prestigious and important survey of macroeconomic forecasts in the US. So please join me in welcoming James.